So I am so honored that you're here with us today as we celebrate the birthday of the one and only El Haj Malik El Shabazz, better known as Malcolm X, born on May 19th in 1926, I believe it is. And today I'm going to bring an artist who has played and created a one person play depicting the life of Malcolm X. And I want you to help me to welcome the one and only Darrick Johnson, better known as Brother Malcolm, due to his likeness and keeping alive the legacy of his hero, Minister Malcolm X. And he does that on stage as an actor. A proud husband and father of two adult daughters, and a mentor who has spent years assisting in the lives of youth, community activist, published author, group facilitator, playwright, poet, public speaker, and man of the people. And Darrick has written, directed, and starred in three of his own original plays in the name of love. A poetic drama in his debut concluded with a marriage proposal to his current wife, Camille Johnson. And Same Goal, Different View, Love is a Revolution, and his upcoming book, or his book, Malcolm X, An American Legend. Let's welcome Darrick Johnson, a.k.a. Malcolm X. Welcome to We Nation Podcast.
Well, thank you for having me, brother. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to just start with, and again, this is my interview. If I had the opportunity to interview Malcolm X, and being that you have studied his life and have kept this legacy alive, I'm going to interview you in that context.
Gotcha.
For those who may not know, who was Malcolm X?
He was born May 19th, 1925, in Omaha, Nebraska, the fourth of eight children to his father, Earl, a preacher who spoke against racism, white supremacy. As well, he encouraged the teachings of another black man in history, Marcus Garvey, who believed in doing for ourselves. His mother, Louise, was a homemaker who took care of the children. Our family was constantly harassed by a racist organization called the Ku Klux Klan. My father would ultimately be killed due to his activism. And after my father's death, our family would go through struggles. My mother would ultimately go sick and have a hard time caring for we, her children. And we would all be separated in the foster care system. And despite the early traumatic experiences of my young life, I still went on to excel academically. That was up until I allowed a teacher to discourage me. A teacher asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. And when I responded to him that I wanted to be a lawyer, he responded to me with hate in saying that I couldn't be a lawyer because of the color of my skin. Now, I know that you know that not to be true. Because with hard work, faith, and believing in yourself, you do anything that your heart so desires. In life, we live and we learn. I became discouraged, dropped out of school, and went on to engage in a life of crime, which ultimately led me to prison. But while in jail, I decided not to waste time. Rather, I started to read and be informed and encouraged. I came to know that information is power. Not a bunch of money, jewelry, and all the material fancy things that come in life, but rather what you know. No one can take what you know. The money and all that can be lost, stolen. While in prison, I joined an organization called the Nation of Islam and began to follow the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Shortly after, I began to sign my last name with an X to symbolize the unknown. When our African foreparents were brought here in chains, the names were lost and stolen, and we were given the names of our former slave masters, who also tried to take away our black culture. And I want you to know that I am Malcolm, you are Malcolm, and the spirit of Malcolm X continues to live on.
Excellent. Now, I know that when you were living, there were a lot of people that tried to paint you as hate or as a hateful man. How would you respond to that?
You know, with the blood dripping out of his jaws like a wolf that just consumed a sheep. White America has the nerve to call me a hate teacher. Let's begin to take a look at history. We still have some of this country continuing to teach that Columbus discovered America, despite people already being there, indigenous Indians who were already there. forced off the land onto reservations. And those who fought back were killed. And white supremacy was born. And they would take another trip by ship to Africa, using guns and weapons to steal people, storing them in caves until another ship came. Human beings shackled together in chains and then placed in the bottom of a slave ship, where many died in the cramped space during the 4 month journey at sea. And with so many people cramped together, it was hard to determine who was dead and who was alive. When discovered, their bodies would be thrown over and sharks followed, feasting on human flesh. When they arrived to the new world of so-called opportunity, they were put on auction blocks and sold like cattle, and forced to work up from sun up to sundown. And then on Sundays, they were allowed a day off to go to church and sing about freedom. Now you tell me, which one sounds more like hate, America or me?
And for those, especially the children that are watching, there's a term that's called hypocrisy. That's when you do one thing or you say one thing, but you do another. And that is what it sounds like Brother Malcolm is talking about that has happened, that the America was showing its hypocrisy toward him, that
Right.
they were hating and showing hate around the world when Malcolm was only pointing out their hate and how black people can get out of that condition. So, Brother Malcolm, I'm going to ask you now, or you mentioned the Nation of Islam. Can you talk a little bit more about the organizations that you belong to?
Well, as I mentioned, I belong to the nations, and that started my transformation to who I am, following the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad while in prison. Um, I traveled. I traveled a lot to help to broaden my scope, to broaden my mind. I went to the Islamic holy city of Mecca, where every Muslim is required to go, those who are able. And when I was there, I came back, and we should always seek to expand in life. And I started an organization with other black activists, John Henry Clark, to name one. We started the Organization of Afro-American Unity, which was formulated in response to African unity. I'd also traveled to Africa because traveling allows you to broaden your mind. So I started out with the Nation of Islam, and then I began to expand my life with the Organization of Afro-American Unity. And both groups were meant to empower us as a people.
All right. Now, as I want to correct that you were born on May 19th, 1925.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Um, and we know that you were assassinated, which meant someone killed you because of your beliefs. Can you talk about who was responsible for killing you?
Well, I would say that lies, false images, and information that was all set out by this United States government that feared the rise of a black messiah or black people coming together in a sense of unity. And I always say the truth will set you free. So the sad reality is that all this false information created division. And as it pertains to me, there were those who began to exercise envy and jealousy, and just created a bunch of division, not only with me, but in many organizations that would follow. And we must always be aware of this thing called divide and conquer. But there's one thing that I want you to remember is that we must learn how to agree to disagree without being negatively or violently disagreeable. Because there's so much we can learn from each other by simply listening, showing love and respect towards one another. And we do this, we become that mighty nation. You see, America has never been great. We can't separate peace from freedom because a people who aren't free can't be free and not be at peace. So I say that in closing, that we need more light about each other. Light creates understanding. Understanding brings forth love, which creates patience that eventually bring forth the type of unity never seen in this country. I believe in the human rights of everyone, and no one is qualified to judge another. Therefore, no one has that authority. Again, America has never been great. And then you cannot separate freedom from peace. And this is what we all should seek to achieve by any means necessary.
Well, Brother Malcolm, it doesn't seem that like you have any type of hate at all. You just have
Thank you.
love for justice and want to say thank you for your life and for the contributions that you have made toward the advancement of African people, of black people everywhere. So thank you so much for that. And for those that are watching, again, you've been listening to Brother Darrick Johnson, who portrays Malcolm X and has done 3 tours of his one-person play. Now we're going to come out of set for a moment, and Derek, talk a little bit about your books and how people can find them.
Okay. First, let me say thank you, brother. I really, really appreciate this. My first book, Evolution, a Revolutionary Journey, is really about overcoming obstacles. I mean, we all have a story, but the determining factor of how good or bad becomes your life story are the choices we make. And, you know, there are no such things as mistakes, simply lessons. So you must always keep an open mind. And with an open mind, you're able to grow. You know, all those so-called challenges and mistakes simply become building blocks. But it's your choice. You have a choice. And that's what this book is all about, overcoming obstacles. It's really like a memoir of my life of overcoming obstacles. And currently, I'm proud to be working on my second book, which is called Becoming Malcolm. And it talks about the pride I take in keeping alive the legacy of our master teacher, Minister Malcolm X. The name master teacher is what I learned from a brother who's still living today by the name of Peter Bailey, who I lean on a lot to get a lot of information from Minister Malcolm. So this book will be out within the next few weeks. I'm finishing up some editing, and I hope to have it out by July. by 4th of July, I hope to have it out. And this is called Becoming Malcolm. So again, Evolution, a Revolutionary Journey. And you can find this book as well as other things I do, speaking engagements and so forth on DerrickAJohnson.com.
Well, listen, I want to thank you for taking some time and educating us a little bit more about the life and the legacy of Malcolm X. So thank you, Derek. Thank
All
you,
right.
Malcolm
Thank you,
X, for
brother.
being a
Thank
guest
you.
on the show today.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And for everyone else, thank you for tuning in. I hope you learned something new. Go to the YouTube and go and listen to real studies. I'm sorry, I got the wrong image on. There we go. Um, go to Make sure you go to the YouTube and look up videos of Malcolm X so that you can hear what he even said and how he talked. He just was a brilliant man, for the people. But listen, that's all the time that we have today. So it's time for me to go. Until the next time, just remember, life is a drum, so beat it.